Mr. Nagui Bihelek from Canada. And Nagui is the founder and CEO of AccuMatch. He is a behavior intelligence specialist and someone who started his first successful business out of his parents' home when he was just 17 years old. His expertise in organizational change led to dramatic cost savings for multiple Fortune 100 companies in the 90s. And his leadership and entrepreneurial know-how directed his own Australian distribution company to reach 3 million in revenues in less than 3 years, with distribution to over 3,500 retail stores. He's very adept at managing multiple projects at once. And I think the next project he will have to manage is sharing his screen, ranging from 500,000 to 20 million in value. As a product manager for IBM, Nagui directed the release of hardware and software products to engineers throughout Australia. Nagui's experience working in the finance and banking industries directed the product release, training, and management programs to several multi-billion-dollar Australian banks with over 1,200 branches each. So Nagui, you're definitely in the right place. We have a truly global panel addressing a global audience as well. And Nagui, I would like to hand it over to you to hear about how do we go back to work after COVID-19.
Thanks, Vishnu. And thanks, Bruce and Laurie. It's very interesting, listening to some of the speakers ahead of us about how AccuMatch can help us, and Laurie talking about the neural pathways and how the pattern of people really are difficult to change. And if they've been in lockdown for so long, they're just wanting desperately to go back to some of their old behaviors. So being able to map those things is really key for us. And without going into all the detail of the 49 behaviors, I think we've covered quite a few of them today. It's really insightful. When people first see this, they go, wow, so many behaviors. How do I learn all these things? And I know there's some coaches on the call, and there are some business owners and leaders here as well. So I'll try and keep it consistent to all areas. What we always hear within a week or two of actually learning this is how insightful it becomes and how easy it becomes, because it creates so much clarity. It's through the amount of information that's available that we get more clarity. It's when we don't have, or when we use vague terms, we don't have clarity and we create confusion. And the environment that Laurie talked about becomes confused and doesn't have clear direction. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about that in the context of getting back to work. And I know some business owners have already started doing that. And we've heard the word pivot, we've heard change, transformation, we've heard all of these things. And for some organizations, it's very much a reality. Change is required. Some other organizations, they're probably finding that there's very little changes and to get back to work. And what I'm going to cover here today is just a 3-step process, preliminary thinking about who on your team do you need to bring in first, and what should they be doing so that when the rest of the team comes on board in step 3, they can all get to work and actually achieve whether it's the pivot or the minor change or transformation that needs to take place. And rather than look at the whole map, I'm just going to pick these 2 points on the map, which is option and procedure. And I'm going to talk in context of those 3 steps. So let's talk about first the procedure person. And I picked a person here. This is actual real situation, real map that I pulled out of the system of a person that is 100% procedure oriented. And what we know about procedure people is, while they're great team members because they get things done, they need to be given the step-by-step how to do something. So you need to not only train them, but you need to actually review and help them so that they've got it documented in their own way so that they can repeat it over and over again. When we bring the pivot into play here, they get the deer in the headlight look. They go, what do you want me to do? I don't know what to do. Tell me what to do. And so we need to really understand that this is just a program. This is how they've been programmed for years. I think Laurie touched on that. You know, their automatic unconscious behavior is what they go to most easily so that they execute that. It's unconscious competence. Okay. Now for leaders, you know, when I know I've been there because I'm a high problem solver, and I can't understand sometimes why people can't do that themselves. So it created frustration until we started to delve in this many moons later to understand that, hey, it's not good or bad, guys. You know, this is just how this person functions. And so for a leader, it could be very frustrating. And what we need to do is understand, okay, how do we set up an environment, like Laurie talked about, that creates that environment for these people to really succeed? So let's go to the next one. Options people. Now, options people are the opposite. So this is another person that's 100% options. This person loves to solve problems. In fact, don't ask them to follow the same thing over and over again. They just go crazy. They'll pull their hair out. But give them problems to solve, you know, like a kid in a candy store. So guess who needs to come in first, right? You know, for a leader also that is not that much of a problem solver, these could be lots of shiny balls. We've got to be careful that we're not pulling in too many directions, that they have clear context of what's required. They're here to build a procedure which has all of the parameters to be able to bring procedure people so that they can actually get on with work. And that's really that three-step process that I talked about. So when we talk about getting back after COVID-19, what's the right process? And the right process, I think, is a staged one. Bring your options people in first. Let them reinvent, let them, you know, pivot, let them do whatever you need to do, whether you're a coach working with the client or you're a leader, a business owner. Get that in place first so that they build that infrastructure and the steps, even the training, right, that's required. You know, even restaurants, they really haven't changed a lot, you know, except for the cleaning and the masks. That's the biggest change. You know, for a lot of those, you know, waiters and chefs, etc., this is something new. They need to be shown the procedure. They need to repeat it enough times so that they actually execute it. So options people create, you know, where is all the masks? Where is the sanitizer? You know, how do we access it? How many times do I do it? All of those steps really need to be defined and spelled out so that they can do that. Now, I want to introduce one more because this could sabotage a lot of efforts. And you've heard of I call them the founders of the water cooler talk, right? People that love to collude. Well, you know, their, you know, best intentions come from the way they are programmed. And the way they are programmed is they see everything that could go wrong instantly. You know, they're the glass half empty people. You know, you want to find all the problems with the procedures. These are the people that will find those. Now, the challenge is if they are high affiliation and low consensus, they might be reserved in doing that. And if they revert to collusion, they just create a mob mentality that can undermine all your efforts, okay? So how do you deal with that? And it's important to think about that. Let's add two more steps into this. So we talked about the staged approach, but the second thing is talk to them about their mindset, talk to them about their behavior, talk to them about what Bruce talked about, what Laurie talked about, so that they understand their own behaviors. It's through understanding their own behaviors, and the map is an amazing tool to do that, that they start to practice new behaviors. The second thing is communicate the plan so that they don't have a chance to look for potholes and actually sabotage the fact that you don't have a plan or whatever. So creating a staged approach followed by communicating and talking and discussing mindsets and so forth, this is going to be the really powerful way of getting back smoothly with the right environment. Now, I'm just looking at my time, and I've been asked to show you quickly how you use AccuMatch. So if that's okay, I'm going to just jump into that very quickly. And whoa, that's vibrating quite nicely, thank you. So I'm going to jump in and take a look at some reports and show you how easy it is. You can manage all your clients, all your team. You can break up your corporations into departments, offices. You can move people around so that you can actually map them together and do some pretty amazing things, as well as creating benchmarks and so forth. So I'm just going to pick on John Doe, who's a test subject, and there's a few test cases in here, and that's as easy as it gets. You click on the name once they've done their graph, and you can come in here and access their map. You can print report, and I'll just show you a quick snippet of what a report might look like. And you might see a detailed report for our certified coaches, something like this. There was a lot of detail in here for the coaches to work with their clients and with the leaders. And you can download these and generate some of those reports. The other thing you can do, which is really exciting, is mapping yourself with your clients. Let me just refresh this very quickly. Pick John Doe, and let's see how my map, which is going to look a little bit all over the place, but very quickly, as I'm coaching and as Bruce talked about earlier, you want to know also how you show up with your team as a leader, or how you show up with your team as a coach, or with your client as their coach, because we're all filtering everything through our own biases, our own conditioning, our unconscious responses, and we need to be aware of those so that we can be a little bit more neutral in our approach of listening and paying attention to each client. You saw the benchmarks before. You can create different benchmarks in your system for top performers, I have some here for coaches, firm owners, etc., and be able to compare what a person, an individual, how they would compare with the general population of similar people in similar roles. Now, we have to be careful that that doesn't become an automatic judgment. When we started building this, about 15 years ago, it was to help with recruiting. And what we realized was it was actually more important to coach business owners on how to work with different behaviors than to automatically put people in a box and say, you can't do this job. Because what we learned is through neuroscience and understanding how the brain works and so forth, is everybody can learn different things. So we can all adapt and change and become a better person. So that's the quick synopsis. Vishnu, back to you.
Thank you very much, Nagui, for providing that overview, and also, for introducing me to the AccuMatch, that fantastic tool that has really helped all of us improve people's lives. So thank you, Nagui, and I look forward to seeing you in the Q&A section.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Sorry, Vishnu, you know, one of the amazing things that we do is the weekly webinars where we have some awesome discussions. You know, I think you found that yourself, and many of the coaches find the whole process of working through this pretty amazing. And I learned a lot from you guys.
Thank you. Well, it keeps demonstrating to me as well that the mind is limitless, and so I really enjoy my Monday evening calls, and I'm happy that we're able to bring this to a wider audience at the moment.
Yep.
Thank you.